Welcome, Dr. Laya, to the National Dynamic Medical Student Summit 2021.
Thank you, Sajjan. Thank you.
Right. So, Dr. Laya, what have you been doing currently?
Currently, I'm not working. I've taken a
Hmm.
sabbatical from my work because
Hmm.
I delivered my son and I have the responsibility of taking care of him. But I was planning to rejoin by putting him into childcare, like, preschool. But then,
Hmm.
Corona happened and now I can't take that risk of going to work. And, there's no preschool or even school open right now. But
Right.
yeah, currently a sabbatical from work.
Got it. Okay. So before this, you were working where?
Yeah, I was working as an assistant professor. I
Hmm.
was working in Chennai. I have a total
Hmm.
of 3 years of experience. I worked in MAPIMS and also I worked in PRIMS. Both are medical colleges in two districts in Chennai. I got a better offer, so I shifted to another medical college, but my post was assistant professor.
Got that. So your specialization is as in MD physiology,
Yeah, MD
right?
physiology.
Great. And we just want to know what made you to choose the subject MD physiology.
So frankly speaking, during my MBBS days, this was never my choice.
Okay.
I wasn't thinking of maybe first year, second year, and all. I didn't really think what I wanted to be. I just
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be a great doctor. But
Mm-hmm.
then in third year and final year, you get exposed more to clinics. So when you're exposed more to clinics, that's when, I think most of the students over there will also understand. You start getting interested in seeing some things and you'll be like, I want to be a surgeon or I want to be a gynecologist, all those fan things come into your head.
Yeah.
But so, that was the exciting part during clinicals. And you don't know the reality still then. So at
Mm-hmm.
that time, I wanted general medicine. And I
Okay.
was very much in love with general medicine because I didn't like the surgical side. At the same time, I know many friends, yeah, of course, you also know Dr. Surgeon, many friends who loved the surgical side.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can kind of decide by third year, final year, you will have certain likings. And my liking was towards general medicine. But the whole thing changed when, we finished internship and, that's when we take a decision what next.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, of course, we were, trying to join some entrance coaching because we needed to get a PG seat. But I wanted to work as well. So I joined a private hospital, and there I, of course, there was a post for junior doctor in medicine department. I was very happy because that was the specialty I wanted, and I thought, okay, let me join and study as well. Now, I loved my work. I had casualty duties, I had ICU duties, and everybody was very sure that I would be taking general medicine, and I was very happy. But then 6 months down the lane, you realize that, you know, your personal choices change. Because though I was very happy in my work, I realized that I'm a person who wants to give 100% to my work and
Mm-hmm.
100% to my family as well. What I noticed is somewhere down the lane, if you want to give 100% for your work, if you want to have a lot of patience and you want to be really busy, you have to kind of forget the family life. You
Mm-hmm.
have to give sacrifices, and that is not my nature. So I then also my fiance, Dr. Chintu, he joined course PG and he was doing surgery, which he liked a lot. And he took a stream where, hardly he had time to even have food. One day, one meal was difficult to have. He had to, there were times they couldn't take baths, and I never had him on the phone. So it made me think, I thought for some time that is it worth it that both of us take a very, um, difficult, stressful, and time consuming stream? What about family life? And nobody knew about this, that I was, changing my thoughts. And again, I'm telling you, I was a person who loved my work. And one day I just sat and talked to my fiance, and I said, see, listen, I hardly know that you have no time at all for your personal work. But what if I also take up, something as stressful as that, general medicine, which, as I said, if you want to give 100%, good practitioners, they don't have time to come back home or, sit at home, and leisure time is hardly there. So I said, what about our child? if we have a child in future, and all this talk came in, and he said, he was a little shocked. He said, so you're leaving general medicine? And I'm like, I'm not leaving, I'm not sure. So I said, what do you like? You think about it and you decide. And then you think of all the subjects you learned through the course of your MBBS, through the 4 years, and which is the other favorite subject that I loved was physiology.
Okay.
So the next thing, I love teaching as well. I love research as well. And I was like, see, there's an open, another open gate. Why not physiology? Now, this is where the problem comes. When you open up to your family and say that you want to take something non-clinical, there is this outburst there. Like, what? How? Why do you? Because everyone has a concept that doctor means you have to treat patients, and you have to be in the hospital. You have to work in a hospital. You have to have your own clinic, etc., etc. So nobody is realizing that we all became doctors because there was somebody to teach us. Okay, and the basic subjects onwards. Nobody understands that. And if I like general medicine, there's a reason, is because I liked physiology. Physiology and general medicine are very much linked.
Yeah.
Then comes pharmacology, then comes pathology. Any branch you take clinical, you should know the normal physiology. If the students will definitely know, you go for clinics, the first thing you're asked is, what is the physiology of this? Explain the physiology of that. Explain the physiology of this. And we have stood there not answering half of those questions in clinics. So it was difficult to convince my family, but it was the best choice I've made, because I listened to my heart rather than my head, and finally it all came together, and I took MD physiology.
Great. So that was a very interesting journey which you have taken in just making a decision. And I really appreciate you giving that so much of in-depth thought process in making that, considering the current situation and the future, which would also bring up in the future. And I think, no, and by seeing you so energetic, I see that you have made a right decision. You are very happy in the career or what you have made the choice, right? Great.
Yeah,
So let's.
I also just want to add that students out there need not think that it's an easy life, that's why I took it. There are students who can, I know ladies who want to do OBG. I have my own best friend who's doing OBG, and she's managing her family life as well. So I'm multitasker in a different way, and some people are multitasking in a better way. Because see, if I say my husband who took surgery, he does not like teaching. He cannot stand it to teach students. And clinicals, they are given bad students to take some classes, right?
Yeah.
So he keeps calling me and saying, okay, what should I take? Imagine, it's surgery, and I know many friends like that. So don't think that just it's an easy life. It's just that you should have an interest to teach.
Yeah, okay.
You should have an interest to impart your knowledge as well. Clinical people, there are so many people who don't like that, so they take clinical. So it all depends. Put your choices, put your likes together, and then choose it. It's not because it's stressful I took physiology. I like the subject and I love teaching. So that's, you should not just, you have to think and then decide.
Yeah, so basically you explored your passion and you got that. Got it.
Exactly.
Right. So wonderful. So you have been a physiologist, no, assistant professor, teaching students for long now. What have been the positive side of it? What are the cons of, pros of being taking physiology as a specialty?
Pros and cons. We'll talk about pros first,
Pros
of course.
first.
Both are subjective.
Yes,
from
of
person
course.
to person it may vary.
Right.
So for me, the biggest pro was I have time. After 5 o'clock I come, I have time. I have time to go through research papers, read articles, spend time with my family. And, I know for sure now that my son, when he comes back from school, there'll be a parent at home, and it's not that both parents are busy. One is running a clinic, one is doing a surgery in the OT. There's one parent at home for sure after 5 o'clock for my son. And in this running fast world, I think children do need their parents at home, some at least one parent to share their thoughts, because you know how the world is now. It's
Mm-hmm.
so tech savvy. I think even kids going to school have mobile phones, smartphones.
Yeah.
There should be a parent to guide them, not to be strict or say no, don't this. I'm not talking about that. Each parent have their own rules, but a kid I loved it coming home and blabbering the whole day, the whole news to my mother and
Mm-hmm.
my father. I love that. So I think my son would like that as well. Coming home to a parent rather than coming home to somebody and then getting used to the fact your parents are not at home. So that is the pro I found. Time.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Second thing is, I have time not just for my family. I have time for myself to excel. I can study further if
Mm-hmm.
after this whatever branches I want to carry on in. I know that in future if I want to get something or want to study something or achieve something, I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
At after 5 o'clock. Not that those who are clinicals are not achieving. They have their way of achieving it. This is my way that I know that after 5 o'clock when I come back, I have a time to sit and decide what is my next research product, and what things I can further do, or I can, even write a book like, of course, Dr. Sajjan has done. One
Okay.
day I can also, think of writing a book. So you can think further a lot. It's not just constricting your time to clinic and patients, which I like, but not so much that I want to not have time for myself.
Mm-hmm.
This, I know that there's time for myself, for my family, for my future, for their future. So this is the biggest, pro I would find in one of the pros. I would find
Mm-hmm.
there are many pros in subjective aspect, like
Mm-hmm.
exploring the subject, learning more, and all that. But in the life aspect, in the practical aspect, this is the part. Also, if you want to practice, you still want to be in touch with patients, you can. I know many physiologists who open a clinic in the evening, like
Mm-hmm.
6 to 8 or 8 to 10, where you're still a doctor, right? You can treat them. If you're not able to treat them in a specialist method, you can refer them to a good hospital. So you can still practice. You can still have patients. So every chance as a doctor, it's there to explore. You have the time for that.
Great. So that was very expressive in terms of understanding what the positive aspects of being in the career of MD physiology. And what do you see as an a con or a disadvantage or something
Yeah,
in those lines?
the con is again subjective, but it's a very glaring con, because you can only work in a teaching institute.
Okay.
So so suppose the place I'm staying in, it has only two medical colleges, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the probability of you getting a job is very less,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you should be ready to move to a place where there are opportunities more for you.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the con as a non-clinical part. You can only work in a teaching institute, whether it can be dental, it can be a nursing college, it can be a medical college, whatever
Okay.
it may be, it should be a teaching institute. That's the only uh, con I would say. I don't
Okay.
think there's any other con related to this, job. But I think job opportunity, again, it's subjective.
And
It's
it's there in each of the now specialities,
yeah,
most of
it's also there in clinical.
it. Right.
So that's the only con I find here.
You see there. Okay. Yeah, I got that. So we looked into what are the pros and cons of it, the specialty as MD physiology, and you also said how you made the choice, right? So going ahead, like for whom, what type of students, or for whom do you suggest choice of MD physiology? Who for whom it would be ideal?
You should like the subject first
Okay.
of all. I know many students who are not at all interested in physiology, and who are like, oh my, even my husband said, how are you still going on teaching physiology? Because I know first year all of us used to, at least for me it was biochemistry. I really don't know how I finished studying biochemistry. So
Exactly.
but I loved physiology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's you have to love the subject. There's no point, anything, whether it's physiology or any clinical, you should love the subject, because I feel, and especially these non-clinical like physiology, because we are finally teaching students. You should be able to sit and take time to read. So for that, you need the interest in the subject. Like it's like reading a novel book. If the first few pages you read and you get bored, you don't go further. You shut the book and you leave. Any Nobel book you read, even if it's a Booker Prize or whatever Nobel Prize winner book, it should be interesting. The same goes for the subject. If you don't like the subject, it's not worth taking it, because if you don't like it, how are you going to make it interesting for the students? Second thing is, you should, if you're a person who loves teaching, imparting knowledge, go for it. But if you're not a person who likes to give lecture, or who is quite shy to talk, maybe that can change over time. I'm not saying it won't change, but if you're a person, like I said, I know so many of the people who don't like teaching. They don't like going on. That's the third thing. And second thing, don't be a person who's so lazy that you'll cut paste some slide and go and stand there and read it out to the students. I'm sure Dr. Sajjan and I, while our UG days, we have seen so many slides and not understood a word, and we've still sat in the class, and then later on we realized, oh, this was the topic that was taught in the class. So you should be a person, from your experience, trying to simplify the slides, because now it's all tech savvy. Hardly anybody writes notes, I think. They want slides, and copy all that. Now students come with pen drive. Ma'am, can you give us the slide? This is how they ask after the lecture. So you should basically reading, love to the subject, and interest. You should be ready to give the students an interesting part about the subject. Be ready to talk to them, and rather than making a very boring lecture, if you have all this, if you feel you have all this, if you feel you're ready to put in the effort for all this, then this is your answer. MD Physiology or any lecture, non-clinical, that's your profession. Go ahead with it.
Great. So core interest in the subject first, and also in teaching. So I think these are the core thing what you mentioned, right? Got that. Wonderful. I think that would be a great information for the students. Going ahead, if I'm looking into MD Physiology, what are the super specialization or any specialization after MD Physiology I could look into?
Yeah. So in India, if you basically look into India, only in the top colleges, I wouldn't say it's a super specialization. I would say there are sub branches where you can work in a hospital, like clinical neurophysiology, or sports physiology, or there is electrophysiology. Now, all this what I'm speaking, I don't know if the students right now will understand what I'm saying, but of course the terms EMG, ECG, EEG, then sleep electrography, all those, where we are studying the human brain, the nerve, the muscle. And sports physiology is totally a different branch. There's a whole branch of that and believe me, there are sports persons who are consulting physiologists, MD Physiology, who are specialized in sports, and the money is really high. Okay, money is really good. And then there is a dietitian and nutritionist. I'm not talking about BSc or MSc. I'm talking about MD physiologists who are personal nutritionists and dietitians for patients, celebrities, sports persons, all that. Okay. This is not very popular in India because very few of them go ahead with this. It's more popular abroad. All right. So if you, not that it's not there in India, Bangalore, NIMHANS, there's a whole department dedicated to physiologists, all for the study, research, where all these machines are available. Okay. Then in AIMS, several branches of this is available. So, you have to go through a lot of tests. That means you should be able to work on these machines. You should have a good idea about the machines, because this involves, all the technology, which you don't study in MD Physiology. You study later. You have to have a technician with you to teach you the technical aspects, and then you apply your MD Physiology knowledge, and then The whole thing combined together, you apply it on patients, or if you're opening your own clinic as a dietitian, nutritionist, or diabetologist, that's also a new branch for physiologists. So sub branches, it's not a super specialty, it's sub branches. So when you can pick out from this. For this, you should consult seniors who you know are in such and such branches or are working, or go to particular college brochures where they have these clinics, because I remember after my MD physiology, when it got over and I was waiting for a job, my ma'am told me, go ahead to NIMHANS Bangalore and do a course for 6 months, and this whole thing will be covered, okay, basically on this electrophysiology, and you can apply it as a clinical physiologist in all these aspects, where you do sleep study, nerve study, muscle study, everything. So but before that I got a job, so I forgot, or I just totally left that for the future. But these are the branches, and this is not only, though in India you don't speak about it much, it is very much there, and also it's very, very popular abroad. So if you're
Okay.
going abroad as well, this is very, very popular.
Great. So I think for me also, I was not present to so many opportunities, or the nurse, as you mentioned, subspecialties which is available after MD physiology, and it's almost looks very interesting and challenging. And I think it's a wonderful area which I think most of the students would be interested in, right? So great. So that's wonderful insight there. So looking into these subspecialties and MD physiology as a core, what are the job opportunities in India and abroad?
Um,
You can touch on.
yeah, okay. Okay, in India, first and foremost, you can work in MD physiology. As such, you pass out as a fresher. I was appointed directly as assistant professor.
Mhm.
But one thing everyone must keep in mind, MCI norms keep changing. Okay,
Mhm.
now it's like they first work as a resident, then they become assistant professor, and it keeps changing. So whatever it is, first thing is, as you are a fresher and you pass out, you get appointed in a medical college.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't want to work in a medical college, or you didn't get an opportunity, you can do a course. As I said, in any of these sub branches, please contact any particular college. If you Google it, you will get colleges which teach these things. Or since you've done MD physiology, your professors or your associate professors will know about these colleges. Ask them which colleges provide so and so course. If you don't get a job as AP, because everyone, as soon as they pass out in India, it's like a normal thing. You pass out, you join somewhere.
Mhm.
So if you don't get a post as assistant professor and you're waiting, don't waste your time. Do a course. Do any of these courses, and you will be appointed anywhere. Any college you will be appointed, because they need these MD physiologists. You're basically working as a physiologist. Another huge job opportunity for you is, for the students out there, is coaching centers
Mhm.
like dams, and they are calling you like endlessly, and the money is very good. Okay,
Mhm.
so you have coaching centers more and more in India. Okay, then as I said, another, diabetology, please do a course on that. You can open your own clinic as a diabetologist, or you can work under an endocrinologist for few years, for few whatever experience you want, and then you can open, depends on all that. So there's opportunities. These are the opportunities in India. Now,
Mhm.
abroad, you are a research fellow.
Mhm.
That means anywhere you go, if you're going to Gulf, you have to write their Ministry of Health exam. Wherever you go, you have to write an license exam. So it's different, because some colleges in Gulf, when they call me, I was not. I said that I'm not ready currently, because I was pregnant that time, and I asked them about the exam, and they said that I don't need to write an exam.
Mhm.
Reason being, I'm not treating a patient. I'm just
Oh.
going to teach the students.
Mhm.
Got my point?
Yeah.
I'm just a research fellow.
Mhm.
So there are places which you don't need to write exams, but clinical, that's not the issue. You have to write an exam, because you have to get a license. So UK, certain colleges which I just went through, they didn't need me to write any exam.
Mhm.
Okay, as I say, as I'm saying this, I'm telling the students this thing, that You have to keep yourself updated, because as MCI changes their rules, everywhere councils change their rules. Suddenly in the, out of the blue, they may say you need to specialize in this, so you have to write an exam. Okay, so just because I said, don't think that okay, we'll go abroad because ma'am said that there's no exam over there and we can immediately, no, that's not the thing. Tomorrow it can happen. Tomorrow they may say you have to write an exam. So it depends. Keep yourself updated, whether it's physiology, whether it's any branch you take. Now, if you go abroad, as I said, you will be a research fellow. Research fellow, at the same time, you will be teaching. And your post will be, it changes from plain. In Gulf, it's always assistant professor, associate professor. And they would, MD physiology is in a higher rank, but they also take PhDs. Okay, so if you finish your MBBS and you do your MD, well and good. If you are really thinking that you want to settle abroad, you don't want to work in India, better get your PhD done as well, because PhD preferences are little more, slightly more. Before it was a lot more, but now it's slightly more. Now people are realizing that MD physiology is better. But I've seen my own professor, sir, he did his MD physiology, and just because he wanted to go abroad, he did a PhD as well. Basically, there's knowledge-wise, MD is more. You get more knowledge in your MD course. PhD is more into research. So that's why abroad, since they want research fellow, they expect, PhD as well. So if you've done your MD, PhD is easy in the sense you have to work hard. But if you've done your MD, you can get your PhD as well if you're adamant that you want to go abroad. Just like how clinical people, they do their MD, but some of them with MD, they do an additional DNB. There's an extra value for that degree. Okay? So that's the same way here. Abroad, your research fellow in any institute, also you are posted as an assistant professor or a resident professor. These particular tag names will be there. But yeah, this is what your opportunities are abroad.
Yeah, so I think you've given a very extensive list of choices. Okay, so it sounds great. Yeah. So now moving ahead, with all these job opportunities, even in India and abroad, what would be the earnings what a MD physiologist can make after its MD?
Okay, so people say that you shouldn't say your money and your earning, but I am very proudly, I can say that my first salary, my first job, I was a fresher, I joined work, was 90,000 rupees. So that was, yeah. So this is like shocking news, because my husband didn't earn that in his initial job, and he was like, oh God. So you should be lucky. And I feel that medical colleges, the best thing here is in medical colleges, even if you're clinical or non-clinical, if your post is assistant professor, that is, suppose I did MD physiology and my colleague did MD general medicine. All right, we both got same years of, we are freshers, we go to a institute, we both get appointed, our salary will be the same. He is getting 90, I'm getting 90. So there's no such thing as clinical is getting more and non-clinical is getting less. It's nowhere in a institute. It really has no difference. So I can proudly say that clinical, non-clinical, don't worry. Don't think that because you're non-clinical, you're going to get paid. That was my thought when I went to a medical college, that they'd be paying me a little less, maybe 10,000 rupees less than a clinical. That no, the pay scale. You're an assistant professor, you get this pay scale. You're an associate, you get this pay scale. You're a professor, you get this pay scale, and it is same. So earning is really good. Abroad, it's like you triple the amount. You will get that much for. And see, one thing I'll tell you is, in India, lecture hours are a lot, quite a lot of lecture hours. But abroad, it's not like that. In a week, they have a timing. You have this many lectures in a week, this many lectures in a day. You get my point. It's like number of hours a practitioner works, he gets that amount of money. The same way you will be paid abroad. You have to just take lecture for this many hours. India, it's not like that. You are there, you take lecture, whether it's BDS, whether it's nursing, whoever it is, your name will be there. You have to take the lecture. There's no number of hours are counted, but still, there's a variation. There will be more if suppose somebody is on leave. The next
Yeah,
person will be taking the job over. It's different abroad. It's very much different. So abroad, I think time, flexibility, and amount of money, if you compare, it's really good for a lecturer.
great. So yeah, so that sounds very promising. And the one of the important aspects you already touched upon, but something more in detail. In the specialty of if you take MD physiology, how would be the work-life balance?
Oh, that's the happiest topic. I talk more and more about it to anybody. Amazing. It's the
Mhm.
best choice I've made, and I don't regret it, because when I took this and I was studying and I was stuck in the library and reading, I had this itching to go and see a patient. Like, I wanted to go and just see few patients, because I was so exposed to
Mhm.
that I thought, did I make a mistake? This is what I first thought. Did I make a mistake? Did I, because there was this little nudge in me that I wanted to see one patient. I just want to check his vitals and I'll come back. Okay, I just want to put my stethoscope and hear his
Got you.
heartbeat.
Mhm.
I just want to go to pulmonary medicine department and hear some, advent respiratory sounds. But then, through the course got over, when I started working, trust me, Dr. Sajan, this is the best decision I've made, because this is what I wanted. So if you want to, you know, like they say, if there's a will, there's a way.
Mhm.
Even if the whole world is against you, because my whole family was against me. They were like, no, 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 you have talent in you. Please take something clinical. I was like, I have talent, I understand that, but I want to put it in use in this way. I want to teach, I want to do research. So it's the best decision I've made. And work, I'm very busy. I go at 8, I come back at 5, I'm busy. I'm on my toes. I'm one lecture to another, I'm teaching, and I'm learning. That's the best thing, because if I take a lecture for MBBS, I can't go with the same PowerPoint to nursery.
Mhm.
Nursing has, you need to cut down, you need to, comprehend and explain more. I can't go with the same thing to dental. So uh, I learned a lot, because I had to read a lot. And what I didn't understand even in my MBBS or in my MD physiology during the studying period, I understood now while
Mhm.
teaching. And so when I come back home, there's no stress. I'm not thinking about anything. I'm just thinking about what to do for my son or my husband in the evening. Where are we going out? Which movie are we watching today? When should I plan shopping? And only this stuff, which
Yeah.
is remarkable, because in this stress-filled world, nobody has time. Even though we have WhatsApp, we have this, we have that. I myself hardly. I mean, I think I and Dr. Sajan are seeing after like what billion of years we are seeing finally. So
Right.
at least we have time. I have time for my family.
Mhm.
And another thing is, there's no phone. My phone doesn't ring saying this patient is bad, that patient is bad. There's no stress, there's no night, because I know my husband, he just gets calls throughout night. He doesn't sleep, he has to get up and go.
Mhm.
Very rarely he's at home. So at least I'm at home and supporting him and my son, rather than me, a whole imbalance. So that's the best thing. Second thing is, you will get all the public holidays. You don't have
Yeah.
to work on a public holiday. You get your Sunday. I mean, Saturdays we have to work in the institutions I work. We have to work on a Saturday,
Mhm.
but Sunday is all to you. You can plan your Sunday. So what more can you ask from this stressful world? You're earning. At least I earned, and you're getting good amount of time with your family. You're stress free. So I'm having an amazing balance with work and life. Touch wood.
Oh, wonderful. So that's an wonderful lead. I'm very happy to see that, like, and like we could see that, having a wonderful work-life balance, time, movie, shopping, it feels like you are still in the student age.
Yeah, yeah,
When
yeah.
you become adult and get into the specialty and what we're discussing. you completely get occupied in the specialty you are in, and the life is almost you always miss the student life. And it looks like you are living your student life being a specialist. Great.
Actually,
Fine.
students, they make us younger, I feel,
Mm-hmm.
rather
Yeah.
than this old person. I mean, you interact with them, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
you
Yes.
know, we lose track of the new technologies and stuff, but it's the students who bring it to us. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
ma'am, you can do it this way, ma'am, this way, that way. And they have their own, some of the words and languages they use, I don't even understand nowadays. But it's when I'm with them that I realize, acha, this is the meaning of that. And they bring you to the younger aspect rather than being a old gringy lecturer standing there and scolding them and
Right.
making them. So yeah, it brings a lot of youth in our life and energy.
Great. So that's wonderful. Awesome. Right. So now looking into how what like next 5 years or 10 years, what do you see the scope of future in MD physiology?
Okay. I'm not a person who thinks too much into later on, but as of now, scope very much is good because of
Mm-hmm.
all those sub branches that are coming up slowly.
Mm-hmm.
And in India, it's been slowly, it's coming out, because when I was doing my MD physiology, I think it just, these things started putting a place in themselves in the department of physiology. We just were starting to innovate ourselves. Now it's like it's a mandatory thing, all these
Mm-hmm.
sub branches to learn. Someday you have to learn it through your course of MD physiology. And which institute does not need a lecturer? Every institute now needs, there are doctors being produced every day.
Yeah.
Every day there are some millions of batches and students getting passed out. So you need a lecturer out there. One, and second thing, the coaching centers, n number of coaching centers have opened. They also are in search of not MSc physiology. They are, they'll stick to MSc physiology for some time, but for the subject to train your students for an entrance,
Mm-hmm.
they need MD physiology. That was very clear. So the pay is very good there also. So the future is good, bright
Yeah.
and open. But then again, it will depend. We never expected Corona would come and I would be having but thanks to it, I'm having a virtual conference with you. But
Got it.
we can't predict. Tomorrow, anything
Yes.
can change.
Exactly. Got it. Right. So with that, let me ask you to share any of your experiences in the specialty you feel that was
My
profound.
experiences, in the
How was your
sense,
experience? How was your experience as an MD, no, a physiologist,
oh,
teaching
okay,
students? Some
okay,
scenario, something which you could share.
yeah. See, experiences are n number, and that
Mm-hmm.
all varies from student. The horrible answers they've written on their answer sheets, and the wonderful answers they give in their viva, which has no
Great.
relation to. For a moment, we'll be thinking, didn't I take this lecture? But I must point out here that I might put myself as a student years ago, where
Mm-hmm.
we too attended lectures and we too gave vivas, and we
Yeah.
had no idea what we were saying, what is the answer to the question. And
Right.
so though it is irritating, very, very, very much irritating when they blabber nonsense, I
Mm-hmm.
keep my mouth shut for a second and try to remember that, okay, we were once there when we had no idea what counter current mechanism. Oh my god, Dr. Sajan, the problems I faced for students answering that. Loop of Henley literally looked like a hairpin on their answer sheets. Like it'll be
I
it'll
got
be
you.
horrible.
Right.
And the electrolytes and ions that go in and out, they just draw arrows. We won't understand whether it's in, whether it's out. And then we have to okay, they meant this, they meant that. But then I realized this is a very tricky way of making us confused and
Yeah.
tweak it and give some mark.
If you cannot convince, confused. Brilliant. Yeah, I
Yeah,
got that.
exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. So it's
Got that.
actually, it's fun filled. It's
Yeah.
I never had a bitter experience.
Mm-hmm.
I've literally laughed in lecture halls because I know they're sleeping. I know
Mm-hmm.
backbenchers who are very much sleeping. And I somehow memories of our college days, when few students sneaked out through the back. I hope you remember
Yeah, get that.
this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have all these memories there, but the, it's beautiful. The whole experience has been fun, and you know
Right, that's wonderful. That's a wonderful experience. The way you're taking the entire no student experience as a student. It's
yeah,
standing in the
yeah.
place of student. It's really amazing. I think I really see that there are a lot of fan following for Dr. Laya as a physiologist there in your college where you're teaching there. I get you there. Right. So coming back to the topic, what could you see any challenges which you faced in your career pathway?
The biggest challenge was language.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you this because, I was teaching in Chennai. The students that were there were from government schools. They wrote government exam, they came through NEET. And when I was explaining in class, and I keep asking any doubts, this was as a fresher. So I have no
Mm-hmm.
experience prior to this. You're going as a fresher. They would never say their doubts. And I thought it's students, they'll never ask doubts. I mean, hardly we had 2-3 of our like in our life that I never asked out. So I was very sure that no one would. But then I saw answer sheets and I felt very bad because they couldn't write a sentence properly. They had the answer,
Yeah.
but they couldn't write it because of language. That's when it hit me, oh my God, I can't go there and speak in hi-fi English and come out like this. I have to really put down. And I literally had to speak in Tamil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in between my lectures, I had to use some Tamil. It didn't work much, but what I did is I told the students that, see, someday you're going to go as doctors. This is how I made them understand is when you're going to a doctor, you're not going to be the whole life, you're not going to be a doctor in Tamil Nadu. You'll be placed anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
So don't keep telling me that I don't understand, madam, because I don't understand English. Don't tell me that. What I want you to do is, I want you to try. I want you to work and work and work by reading English. Because I'm sure in our batch, when I was also UG Sajjan, we had a lot of students whose English were not really good. But they passed. They wrote exams, they gave vivas, and they passed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember any of them standing up and saying, we don't know, we don't understand. Yeah.
Right.
So when these students tell me at the end, when I ask them why aren't you answering, why aren't you writing properly, they keep telling, madam, English, actually in Tamil they said puri illa, they'll tell. So what
Mm-hmm.
you're saying we don't understand, they'll say.
Yeah.
I said, see, what you're saying I am understanding. I may not be able to talk fluently in Tamil, but what you're saying I'm understanding, correct? So
Yeah.
why I make an effort for that? And tomorrow, if you're supposed to go see, when you reach finally, I remember my Kannada. Oh my God. Finally, when I had to write case history, I used to search for you and Dr. Varsha and so many of our batch. Please ask, please ask. But then we had to learn.
Yeah.
I remember we used to ask each other, what is the meaning of what word you'll ask.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
said, see, you have to put an effort because your textbooks are not in Tamil. Your
Mm-hmm.
textbooks are in English.
Yeah.
So that means in future also you're going to have English textbook. Wherever you go, any article you read, it's English.
Yeah.
So put an effort. And I told them, the method I told them was keep reading English, keep reading, keep writing. And I said, you watch movies, right? Why don't you watch English movies with subtitles or whatever? Do something, make use
Yeah.
of the technology. And I must say there was an improvement by the time they appeared for their exam. They were
Mm-hmm.
not quiet. They had full sentences on their paper. I'm not taking credit for it at all. I'm saying it works. What I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to say, it works. But as a lecturer, it was the biggest challenge for me because
Challenge.
I had to take the effort to teach things which I'm only used to teaching in English. So That is the language. Anyway, if you go to north, there will be North Indian students who can't, who would like you to speak in Hindi. If you come to Tamil Nadu, south, in Telugu, Kannada, any, you should expect this. So I think for me, that was the biggest challenge, going to another state. I didn't realize it. That was the worst part. And then when I realized, I told them, try this, and I also had to try. It's not just one way.
Great. So I see, like, in times of challenges and difficulties which you had, you actually stood by the students for their better future, and I think the student listened to what you had to convey, and I think they have, excelled in whatever they could in the first year of MBBS. That's very critical, right? Got that. So I got you the challenge, of course. That was one of the challenge of language. What would you say, which was the best part of being an individual?
Okay, the best part is, which was totally unexpected, that students remember you for explaining. I've got personal messages telling me, ma'am, thank you for teaching us proton pump, sodium potassium pump, because we applied it in surgical clinics and we answered their questions. So this is out of the blue. I mean, I'm sure Dr. Sajjan, you'll understand what I mean. When you take a lecture and go, you want them to understand. You get irritated when they don't give it in the paper and viva. That's a different thing. We never expect them to message us personally and say, thank you, ma'am. I get, even though I'm at sabbatical now, not working now, my previous students still message me wishing me Teachers' Day. I cannot believe it at all, because that's, I mean, that feels very different. And there are students again who message me saying, thank you, ma'am, for teaching this in this way. Physiology still remains in our head because of your lectures. This is not all unexpected. This was never, though I hope if Kalpana ma'am watches this anytime, I should let her know that I was a huge fan. So is so many of our students. But there are certain lectures she took that I'm sure all of us understood.
Yeah.
Brilliant lectures. So I have never told her this personally, because, we never had that, what do you say, courage at that time to take their number and to message them. Especially Kalpana, I don't think anyone has had. But later on, okay, many of us became friendly. But it's the same way. What I felt for her, it was in my heart. I respected her and I loved her lectures. But when you get it back, when students come and remember you, I mean, I'm out of that college when I was, sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry. Is it back? Yeah.
No, go ahead.
So when I was, came for my delivery and had my son, it's like after so many months, I don't expect them to remember me, because they have finished their first year. They are now in their second year. Most of them are in their third year. I don't expect them to message me. They do. They found number. They asked some people number. They called me and wished me. So that is I would say God's blessing, that the students remember me, and that is the best part about teaching.
Great. So I really see that. You actually know. I see that the commitment which you have shown, and the passion of taking physiology, and I think it's all shows out as an expression from the students, getting back to you. I see that, and really appreciate. I'm very inspired and the mood by the difference which you're causing, and the interest which you're creating among the students by taking this subject. And I think you really made that a strong decision. I think I see that the efficiency which you have put across to understand the subject and across, and keep the students very highly motivated in that. Got that. So going ahead, I think the last part is what would be your guidance for or no, your view on students taking MD physiology?
First of all, let me say broadly, anything you want to take, you have to think. Don't listen to, please listen to your parents, but don't think that your parents know what you like always. It's your passion. Okay. So as I said, I taking physiology was like a shock to everyone, because even to me for some point of time, because I couldn't believe I took a drastic decision change. But listen to yourself, listen to your heart, listen to your head, listen to your passion, give it time, and then tell your parents. So if it's MD physiology, my thing will be, if you're ready to commit to teaching and understanding and loving the subject, go ahead. If you're a person who loves surgery, who wants to be in the OT and always wants to, surgically heal patients, go ahead, take a branch. If you're into, nothing is lesser or more. Don't think, it's how you make it big. Because see, a biggest example, and I'm not doing this because somebody told me to do this or say this, is my colleague here, Dr. Sajjan. I mean, I should say that I never understood community medicine. I never, went into the liking of it. But what he's doing today is a revolution. Okay, he's just revolutionizing things. So it's how you take the subject in your hands. It's nothing is more, nothing is less. Don't let anybody tell you that, oh, you took this, why didn't you take that? Or your friend is doing that, look, you're doing. No, don't let anyone pull you down. You're best in your way. And I tell my students this while teaching in class: don't think that somebody can pull you down. Only you can pull yourself down. Only you can tell yourself no. So if you want to take, suppose, MD physiology, if you want to take anatomy, if you take biochemistry, or if you want to take completely a different aspect and go to pathology, it's your choice. Just remember, give your 101%, give your sincerity to it. You're unique. Do your own uniqueness. Bring your own uniqueness to it. Nobody's put walls around you. You're old enough. By the time you finish MBBS and internship, you're old enough. You can break all the barriers and go ahead in life. Be happy. That's the most important thing. So my guidance to all the students would be that choose something you think you can excel in your own way. Be it small, be it big. In your own way you think you can succeed, go ahead. Don't crib over it later. Don't take up something where you have to crib over it and cry over it. Never cry over spilt milk. Suppose you took a branch and then you later realized this was not the branch of my choice, do something out of it better. So that would be my guidance. Just go ahead, listen to yourself, give it some time, you will find your right choice and excel in it.
Great. So I really appreciate for giving that wonderful insight of you how you have taken it and your view and guidance for the students, how they could make that thought process and get down to their passion and choose their passion. And I really also want to acknowledge for acknowledging me. So thank you for that. You're right. So yeah. So with that, I think no, really. See, I really, of course, we have been discussing after a long time, and really, I'm inspired, moved by what you have created in your life, and the amount of people, the students you have enlightened, and I see the path and the passion you have taken, dedication for your career and also your family and hitting that right balance between the family and the career, right? Work life balance, and really moved by that, and really acknowledge you for standing for that and being an inspiration for all the students who are watching this. Really, I think they could make a very informed decision based on what you have shared from your life, right? Thank you so much for sharing that, being authentic, and giving your time today to take your time to share all these
So
things with us.
it's basically, Dr. Sajjan has said so much about me, inspired and all that, but I'm really just starting my career. I'm just 3 years into it.
Mm-hmm.
But I should tell you a story about him, and there's no surprise in that. I still remember Dr. Sajjan. If I don't know, maybe students know you, don't know you, I don't care. I should say this. When he released his book ECG, what is the title? Please say the title again.
Learn ECG in a day.
Yeah, learn it. The reason I get confused with the title is because in Orthopedia, I very clearly remember he had written the titles in different ways, making ECG easy and ECG learnt in a day, etc., etc. And he said, Leah, tell me, this is during our internship. Yeah, which is nice. And I would pick few, then he would ask other people. And why I'm saying this is, I used to, for me, he was like my colleague, okay, my friend. I know him. But the day the book was released on our graduation day, I remember sitting with my parents and we had this, goosebumps. And I don't know how to explain that my own batchmate, who's literally a very cool person who always smiles. I don't know personally if he shouts and yells. I've never seen, but in a whole day I'm with him because he was my batchmate. We were the same clinical batch. So I've seen him throughout the day. So during that day, at least he does not have any outbursts, and everybody has that opinion about him. So when the book was released, I had this thing that, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. So what I'm trying to tell the students is nothing is impossible, okay? Don't think that, this person who's now revolutionizing this whole conference and creating this huge thing. I don't think anyone in India has done it like this. I don't know. This is amazing. So when he did that, it didn't end there. Maybe if it was me, I would like, I've published a book, done. It didn't end there. I remember him drawing, symbols for dynamic Sajjan in rough papers. It started from there. So I'm talking to a small legend here who's creating history one step at a time, and he has not stopped. And I've not been in contact with him because we've all been busy in our schedule. We got married, we had kids, we had profession. It was very difficult, but we see his updates. And every day I see his update, I'm like, this guy is truly amazing. And what I'm trying to say here is, there are no boundaries. Please go ahead, because the person conducting this, hosting this whole virtual conference at this level is the biggest example. So take inspiration, big or small. The person is right in front of you. Please follow his page on FB if you want to know more. And please do. Thank you, Sajjan, for this opportunity. You are amazing.
Oh my God. Really, thank you for getting that story out. And I felt like you are the hosting this event and I'm listening for you. Got it.
Yeah,
No,
sorry.
really, yeah. No, I got that, right. Thank you so much. Really, I think I relived the moments when as you were narrating it.
There's so
it's
many.
really inspiring.
I'm just saying only few of it. There are so many. I remember
I
so
know,
many
I
things
know.
you did, but
Right,
these
exactly.
were amazing moments.
Exactly. Those, and of course, this is like 10 years back, like,
Yeah,
and
and look at you now.
so and yeah, so that's what I'm telling students, like, you're still long way to go. So make
Yeah,
your right choice by passion, what you like, and that would automatically take you wherever you would like to end up with, right? Right. Okay.
yeah.
With that, I think Dr. Laya, thank you so much, and it's been very inspiring and it's very entertaining and awesome. Thank you so much, okay, for being here
Thank you.
with us today. Right. Thank you.
Isn't this valuable to know the career pathway of a specialist? Hear from experiences of 50 plus consultant doctors from across India. Get an insight into 22 plus medical specialties and make an informed career decision which will shape your future. Join India's first of a kind online medical specialty summit exclusively designed for medical students. Visit our website drsajjanacademy.com to know more. Don't miss out on this golden opportunity.